talking about money, van life, and spirituality, and my journey around money and van life. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be cooking a fried egg sandwich with some pickles and some lentils right here. So the lentils, I'll probably just eat them cold from the can, or I might throw some in the pan to heat them up after I cook the eggs. So those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. And I'm going to be using this Terra Delisa extra virgin olive oil, first cold pressed, really good, high quality. Now it was really, ooh, it's solid. Darn, I can't use this. Wait. Okay, there's a little bit that's seeping from the bottom of the solid mass. I think I can dribble out here. So, yeah, it was like, I don't know, 26 degrees here last night. It was really chilly. So I have been on a spiritual journey around money. So, every human that's born on planet Earth has struggles. Mine happens to be around money and relationships, especially romantic relationships. And I'm being really transparent here. And I also want to be careful of my choice of words, because I strongly believe in the law of attraction, and I've been listening to Abraham Hicks, Michael Bernard Beckwith from Agape Love. Also, I really enjoy Donna Eden's energy medicine work. So I want to be choosy with my words, but I think it's okay to say, that throughout my life, I have had struggles with money around scarcity, poverty, and I'm on a spiritual journey, on a quest right now to dig to the bottom of it. And I've been taking some Mind Valley courses. If you haven't heard of Mind Valley, I'll slip a link down below. I'm actually going to become an affiliate with them because 𝐓𝐡𝐚𝐭, I think is how you say his name. He is just incredible. What a testimony that man is in his life. And what Mind Valley does, 𝐓𝐡𝐚 is the founder of Mind Valley. What they do is they find the best speakers and teachers on the planet, and then they have them create courses that go on the Mind Valley online courses platform, and their purchases are extremely reasonable, like, $300 typically for a course. You can get like a year membership for $9.99 for their pro. There's different tiers. So I started with, I'm doing a 14-day trial, and I want to manifest being able to get their year-long subscription. So yeah, I just want to share my journey with you, being careful around my words, because I am growing in the area of money. I am experiencing, victories. Like this whole year living out of my van full time, I feel like was a complete miracle. And I'll tell you a little backstory. So so I'm a digital nomad. I make my money teaching live online courses to K through 12 homeschool students. So my target audience, I don't like to use that term. So my main audience are homeschool parents. So I used to teach in teacher marketplaces, and they took care of all the marketing for me, and I didn't have to like do a whole lot around it. So I was part of a teacher marketplace called 𝐒𝐿, which I began with him when I lived at Heathcote Intentional Community. And if you haven't seen my van life backstory, I'll put a link up here, somewhere up here. Just click on it and set that video aside to check that out later. I give you my whole backstory of how I started van life, which I will be adding to incrementally as I grow this channel. So back in 2011, when I joined 𝐒𝐻𝐭 Community, I became a full-on intentional community member at 𝐒𝐻𝐭 in Freeland, Maryland. And I had lost my job, and I was running a nature-based program for homeschoolers for 9 months. Like, I ran a full school year program serving the homeschool community. I had 18 kids. Unfortunately, I couldn't really make a decent, sustainable living from that. I would have stayed there. I would still be at 𝐒𝐻𝐭 now had that worked out, had I could have had my career piece worked out there. But there were community members that wanted a cap on how many kids could be at the community. And the price range I was offering it just wasn't sustainable. And the location was absolutely incredible, like surrounded by 112 acres of wooded land and nature trails, birding opportunities, stream, organic gardens, a hoop house, and just so many different activities. I missed that program so much. But I had to give it up after the 9 months. And at the end of the 9 months, I discovered teaching live online classes with 𝐸𝐸 One of my parents, who sent her kids, who was a community member, a full member like I was, she told me about 𝐸𝐸. And so that's how I got started. And that was awesome. That was awesome for like 5 years, or 5 or 6 years, close to 6 years, I worked with them. And so, I got introduced to being a digital teacher, like an online teacher. And, but, I had about an inkling that I wanted to work for myself. I kind of got frustrated around some of the rules, and people over me always making changes, and me never really having a say on, how things are done. So I started to get discontented and realized I wanted to start my own online business. Well, boy, oh boy, that was quite an undertaking. So I basically learned from YouTube videos, like free YouTube videos on how to build out a WordPress website, how to use courseware to build out the courses. I'm really hungry, so I need to talk and cook at the same time, which is a little bit challenging for me, but I'm getting used to it. So I built out my website. I think it took me a few weeks, and then I had to learn how to maintain my own website, which usually WordPress works pretty well for me. I've only had like a few issues. I've basically been my own developer without being a developer. Like, I'm not a developer. I've thought about like taking courses to learn how to be a developer, but I don't seem to really want to do that. So longish story short, 𝐸𝐸 ended up closing their doors. They just shut down. They moved the leadership, and the leadership didn't want to continue using 𝐸𝐸. She started her own business somewhere else, so it shut down. Now I had about 6 months heads up to scramble and try to do something about it. And I really wanted to go solo, but I wasn't ready. I didn't know marketing. Marketing is like the biggest thing. Like, if you're working for yourself online, I feel like I've taken enough courses now that I'm relatively proficient with social media marketing and like creating my own YouTubes and whatnot. But I wish that I could be better at it. I'm always learning and growing, but it has taken me since 2017 to really like nail or start to nail marketing. It's no small bag of potatoes. Yeah. So I wanted to go solo. I wanted to have my own business, but I wasn't ready, and I was starting to freak out. And since I had lost my job in 2010, I had started to have like panic attacks a few times around money and livelihood and career, because I was so used to just working for someone else and, you know, getting a paycheck and relaxing at home in front of the TV, watching a movie every night. Well, let me tell you, being an entrepreneur, a digital entrepreneur, like I don't really find myself watching movies at night anymore. I find myself working on my business pretty much like almost around the clock. So, but I really can't do that. So I've stopped doing that to focus on my spirituality. So, and I have a pretty good routine. So what I do is I get up anywhere between, and it kind of varies. I get up anywhere between 6 and 8 o'clock in the morning. I would say on average, I get up most days at like 7:45. And I meditate. If I get up like at 6, I just stay in bed and meditate. And I'll meditate anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour at a time. I also did breathwork training back in 2010 in I forget the name of the town, but it's outside of Asheville, with the original Leonard Orr breathwork. I had 4.5 months of training. So, and each breathwork session is like an hour. So it's this circulatory breath where you breathe. You don't let the air completely be expelled from your lungs before you take the next breath. And it keeps the breath going in a circular motion. And it brings you to a higher state of mind where you start to call out like energy blocks. And it just helps you feel you can just release a lot of trauma. Just stuck energy that gets stuck in our chakras and our energy fields. So yeah, I actually trained to be a breath worker. But after training, I decided that I wanted to focus on my education business. Kind of lost my train of thought. Let me just get these eggs cracked into the pan so you can watch me do that. Tried to neaten up my side pantry here. I know it looks a little bit unsightly. I can't do a whole lot about it. I've tried to think of ways other than just straightening it up. It looks cluttered, but it is what it is. It's my van life reality. Whatever, huh? Okay. So I wasn't ready to go solo. So I ended up getting headhunted by the company 𝐓𝐡𝐚𝐭, which is an online K-12 courses, live online courses platform. And they found me and they reached out to me what am I going to do? I'm not ready to go solo yet. So they reached out and invited me to cut them. And that was like amazing. That was so perfect. And I was getting decent money with them. But I started to get really itchy feet. I kind of struggled with their rules. At the time, I wasn't ready to embrace evolution. And if you haven't watched my backstory yet, I left Christianity back in 2008, summer of 2008. So I used to believe in creationism. I don't debunk creationism either. I'm more of, I just don't know how the earth was created. So that's, but now I think that evolution is a possibility too. And I'm willing to teach it, but I wasn't willing to teach it. So 𝐓𝐡𝐚𝐭, didn't like that. So I ended up leaving 𝐓𝐡𝐚𝐭 and like having to just launch my business, even though I wasn't ready. I still didn't have a good handle on marketing. I still was kind of freaking out, like, what, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to get clients? Like, you know, getting traffic on the internet, like getting ideal people to see like what you're selling online and buying and being long-term customers is I found that it's an art and a science. Let's say it. Let's put it that way. And I'm still a work in progress trying to master it. So I started working on selling courses through Udemy, and I was just all over the place. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I ended up dropping credit cards with clients on demand. I cannot recommend them. So, you know, I mean, it works for some people, but you never know if it's going to work for you or not. It didn't work for me, unfortunately. And I freaked out about that. And I ended up running back to the East Coast from the West Coast. I was actually right here at this camp I'm at now, which is eerily interesting. Actually, awesomely interesting. Let me shift that. Gosh, I want another piece of bread. I'm like really working up an appetite telling this story. Spitting at me. I do like yolks, but I try to be careful since I don't, my eggs aren't refrigerated. And I know a lot of people are afraid of that, but I get cage-free eggs to make sure. It's extremely low chance of getting salmonella with cage-free. I read that recently. Do your own homework, though. Do your own research. Don't go by what I just said. I'm not a doctor, not a scientist, although I absolutely love science. So there I was in credit card debt. So I ran back to the East Coast to my friends and family and tried to find a job. I did actually get a job working at a boarding school, the Arthur Morgan boarding school, but I just did not fit into their culture. It was the weirdest experience. I've never had an experience where, no, that's not true. So here it was a middle school boarding school, and I felt like I was back in middle school. I had some trauma when I was in middle school, and I felt like I was repeating that, in that I just couldn't fit into their culture. Like I didn't fit in. And yeah, it was just really weird. So I ended up leaving after 4.5 months from that experience, and jumping into breath work. And that's when I began my spiritual journey of finding out, like, why am I so stuck in life? Like, what can I do spiritually? I knew it was on a spiritual level that I needed to do some kind of energetic clearing. Also, during that whole year, I I did a lot of different spiritual work. Like I went to workshops, so many workshops. I went to actually raise the money to go to a possibility management. Check them out online. I'll put a link in the description. Possibility management has a suite of powerful tools. They're called Next Culture. In previous videos, I've shared with you that I have spent a lot of time with Network for a New Culture. Anyone who's watching from New Culture, hi! Yes. So here we go with our fried egg sandwich. I'm really excited about this sandwich. So I started to do personal growth work around money and relationships, which are my two areas that I want to master in life. But really, you know, everyone has their areas of weakness and struggle. Yours are different than mine, or maybe we share the same areas of weakness. I don't know. Share in the comments if you don't mind being so transparent. And I hope that my story can help you. And here I am using Best Foods olive oil. Back east, it's called Hellmann's. I believe it's the same company, but this is their olive oil. And it's all right. I prefer real creamy Real Foods or Hellmann's mayo, but that's what I have. I think I got it because I thought it was more heart healthy. Gather my thoughts here. So I ended up through a mutual friend. I met Leonard Orr's wife. Leonard Orr, if you don't know who he is, he's one of the people that has helped introduce breath work from the East, like from India to the Americas and also to Europe. I think he's been in Europe. So I got training from two of his best trainers, his wife, and Aki is her name. She was my main trainer. And I just absolutely fell in love with the work. So that was deep inner work that I did around just stuck energy, healing trauma, doing a lot of journaling, doing breath work pretty much every day for an hour to help me release the trauma around money, relationships, my relationships with my parents. I was actually adopted at 14 years old by a pastor and his wife. And but previously I had been raised by my single mother, and both of my parents actually had schizophrenia. My biological father has since passed away, and my biological mother is still alive. She's in New York State, which is where I originate, where I'm from. And so there's just a lot of stuff, like a lot of internal stuff that I don't think about every day, but still holds me back in life. So that is what the quest that I am on in this van is, to, release those things that hold me back. And it's really all about mindset and thought patterns. Mindset is everything, and our belief system is everything. That determines, success in money, success in relationships, success in health. Now, I will have to say that I have nailed my health. Like, I am so full of life and vitality, energy. Like, I can work long hours. I walk every day. I hike. I do yoga. I eat, relatively healthy. But like, I expect, and here's law of attraction, I expect to be healthy. And guess what? I am. Now, my other areas, money and relationships, there's more fear, and there's like clogged energy pipes. Like Abraham Hicks says, like clogged pipes. Like, I have to rewire those parts of my brain. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm on a personal retreat, and you're invited here during my personal retreat, as I'm going through 2 Mind Valley classes. One of them is called Money EQ with Ken Honda. Highly recommend his class. I started with reading his ebook from Amazon called Happy Money. And that helped me start to shift around the scarcity money mindset, through the simple practice of thanking money as I spend it and thanking money as I receive it, or circulate. So I actually don't use the word spend anymore, as I help circulate money. So what we want as human beings is to circulate money. We want to flow in money in, money out, flowing continuously, without worry, without fear. And those are what I'm working on, is overcoming worry and fear around money and learning to attract it. It's all about energy, and our relationships with people actually match very closely our relationship with money. And what Ken teaches in his course is just phenomenal. And I can feel, I'm almost done with the course now. And like, I've gone through it like super accelerator fast, but I'm taking notes. I'm like gonna go back and I'm going to actually master it. I'm gonna master the course. So I am determined to continue having a healthy relationship with myself, with money, with people. And the best way that I know how to do that is through daily meditation, at least a 10 to 15 minute a day practice. But for me, I'm starving hungry. I love meditation. I'm like at least a half hour to an hour a day. And that's how I start my day. And I also do Donna Eden's energy medicine. So what energy medicine is it works with the energetic body, like our aura. We all have an energy field around us. And our chakras, which are also like these balls of energy throughout this part. So there's the crown chakra, the throat chakra, heart chakra. I don't remember all the names. The root chakra is really vitally important to have it, as Jeffrey Allen has been teaching. Imagine having like a long tube of light connected to the root chakra, which is like the end of your sacrum. Having like a beam of light coming down from that root chakra down into the center of the earth, like imagining that, thinking about that. So like you're rooted and grounded to Mother Earth. And then calming your mind, like sitting quietly, closing your eyes. I'm like going into it right now. And then he teaches about how to get into the higher mind by imagining the center of your head, and then moving up, imagining the center of your head, then looking up, and then back and up. And that's like the higher mind. And then just allowing that flow of energy from the earth and the cosmos to flow. I did this last night because I was starting to have a panic attack around money, and it was waking me up. And this hasn't happened in months. It's interesting what's coming up during this retreat for me. It's like issues are coming up, and that's a good thing, because that means that the work I'm doing is working. So I immediately put my new tools to use. I turned off my analyzer, like the mind chat. Jeffrey Allen calls it an analyzer. So I turned that off, and then I imagine being rooted and grounded to the center of the earth, with that beam of light coming from my root chakra all the way to the center of the earth. Imagining my crown chakra open and allowing the cosmic or universe energy to flow through, and allowing that energy to circulate as I'm just quiet and meditating and imagining and seeing and visualizing this. And it calmed me down. It calmed my heart rate down. And I literally stopped myself from having a panic attack around, the money situation I was panicking around. And this morning, I just feel, or today, I feel creative, like really powerful and creative, that I can manifest anything I want. And I'm going to get out of debt. I'm determined to do it. Like, I'm just so excited in seeing how this is all going to unfold. And I'm sharing it with you. And I'd love to hear from you. Do you have struggles like I'm expressing? Share in the comments. Now, van life and working for myself has afforded me the time to rearrange my schedule so that I can hyper focus during this retreat. I chose when I wanted to take this retreat because I need it. I absolutely need to unblock, the forces. I'm basically standing in my own way, which is what humans do with their mindset. So I'm working on changing my mindset so that I can realize my truest potential and serve humanity in a better, richer way than I have been. And I'm just so excited about that. And thank you for listening. And I want to hear about your life too. That's a good fried egg. Now I have lentils. So I'm going to drain them. So I want to do these little spiritual chew-in chats where I make a meal and I give you an update on how my spiritual van life is going. So it's kind of a series in of itself that I'm just super excited about. And I'm just curious. I'm really curious about how this channel will evolve. Like, what is it that people will want to see and hear from me? Like, do you really like me talking about spirituality like I am? Or do you like my cooking shows? I have a cooking show coming out. I have all the footage. I made the video. I just have to edit it up. Like, I mean, I'm hoping that you'll just like it all. But, whatever. I'll make videos on whatever you, the audience, want to see more of from me. Hamburger dill. Okay, the lentils. That's really hot. Okay. So I'm going to reheat this. This is propane. I don't know if you can see that spark or not. But what I'm going to do is make these lentils. So my strong areas are my health. My physical health is an absolute treasure and a gift. And my mind. I feel that I have a pretty strong mind. So my spiritual quest really is about just bringing everything into harmony. Money, relationships, health. Like I learned through Michael Bernard Beckwith from Agape International. He's in LA. He's a famous spiritual leader and teacher in the spiritual community. I was just going to share a teaching for a minute. Slipped my mind. I'll remember. This lentil juice. And then put these lentils in. And I'll do a half a can. Now, I don't have refrigeration. So I do powdered vegetables, raw powdered moringa leaf powder. And that's what my next video is about, how I get my veggies. I did my veggie drink this morning. Here it is in this canteen. And my fiber is the lentils. So I'm going to do lentils with salsa. Lentils with salsa. So that's vegetables too. I have onions, peppers, tomatoes. And this is from Pace. It's a pretty popular brand. And you might think this is unusual, but it is so tasty. Bam! Justin's peanut butter. Woohoo! This is a really wholesome, I would say this might be the best peanut butter on the market. Gosh, it's bugging me. I can't remember what I was going to say about Michael Bernard Beckwith. He's been a great inspiration for me in my spiritual journey. I met him through Oprah Winfrey. So about 2 months ago, when I just was really struggling spiritually, I'm just not willing to go back to Christianity. And I personally believe that there are many paths, that everyone has their own individual path. And I know that most religions would disagree, and that's okay. It's okay. You know, if we all believe the same thing, the world would be kind of a weird place, I think. Like all believing the same thing, there'd be no contrast. Like, you know, no, it just would not work as well. There is beauty in diversity, is what I've come to believe and learn. So, but yeah, I met Michael Bernard Beckwith on YouTube, which is where I meet a lot of my spiritual teachers as of late. So I'm putting peanut butter in here. This I got from Moosewood, which is a recipe book. I used to cook from the Moosewood recipe book at Heathcote. I would cook for like 14, 15, sometimes 20 people at a time. Let me tell you, I know how to cook for a large group of people. I also learned how to do it at the boarding school at Arthur Morgan. I'll share my whole story of that on a different video. So this video is more focused on van life and my personal spiritual journey. Or personal growth is another hot keyword, hot topic. All right. And this would be really good with like bread, but I'm already eating bread, so I don't want to eat too much bread. If I'm not physically active and I eat 2 pieces of bread, I can get really sleepy, like just have a carb hangover. Have you ever had a carb hangover? Yeah. Oh, I want to see the chat. Here we go. Hi, Frederick. Can you see and hear me? Go ahead in the chat if you can, if you didn't leave already. Live from Oops, seems like one of your streams is having issues. Well, reconnect. All right. I heated up the lentils. I can smell it's on the verge of burning, so I don't want to cook it too much. It's going to be really delicious. So I found out about mixing peanut butter with salsa and lentils when I used to make these fajitas at Heathcote that everybody loved. I mean, when I was cut that dinner, people just raved. So I remembered, you know, how to make the little mixture with peanut butter, salsa, and lentils. And also for people who have a peanut allergy, you can substitute the peanuts for tahini, and it's also equally as delicious. Try it out. So I am almost done with Ken Honda's Money EQ course with Mind Valley. And I'm finishing up, I'm about halfway through Jeffrey Allen's Duality course. Jeffrey Allen is a world-renowned energy healer. He started off as a computer software guy, and he got discontented with his work, and he started exploring energy healing, and he manifested his way out of the job and wanted to become a full-time healer. And he traveled the world getting the best trainings on the planet for energy healing. So what I've learned from him is that everyone has the power to heal themselves. And I've experienced this myself. Like people all have this ability to heal, like heal sickness, disease. But Jeffrey Allen also balances it and suggests that you also use Western medicine, like, for surgeries if necessary. And I agree. In 2017, I had pain in my abdomen with flu-like symptoms, and the pain grew so horrid that I went to the emergency room. For the second time in my life, I checked myself into the emergency room. They put me in one of those giant scanner tubes, and they found this giant fibroid this big, the size of a large apple or a small grapefruit, growing in my uterus. And there wasn't just one, there was one and some smaller ones. And scientists are still trying to figure out why this happens. I wanted to get rid of it naturally. I wasn't doing energy healing, so I didn't even think to try that. So I ended up having the 𝐸 surgery, the 𝐸 robot. Now, if you get squeamish, you might want to fast forward this part. But it is a robot with these arms, these long arms. And the doctor, my doctor, Dr. Lara, a woman, she controlled the robot as they did the surgery. Like there were just how many incisions? 3 incisions, 3 tiny incisions in my abdominal area. The little robot went in, cut up the fibroids, and removed them. Pretty awesome. I won't go into great detail. I'm kind of self-conscious about it, but pretty miraculous. And doing that less invasive surgery allowed me to walk out of the hospital about 5 hours later. Walk. Yeah. And pretty amazing. So Jeffrey Allen suggests using energy healing, healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, and also Western medicine when necessary. But I'm going to say, I think about 90% we can take care of ourselves through energy healing. Other religions would call it prayer. I think they're synonymous. Delicious. So I will be back with an update or a video about my travels. I have so many things that I want to share with you, so many videos that I've already done that I still need to edit and get up on this channel. So I will be releasing those. So stay tuned. Please hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons. Ding the little bell so you'll be notified immediately when I release my next video. Subscribing really helps this channel. It's greatly appreciated. And then scroll down in the description and check out the links that I've shared in this share today. And you are invited into my community. It's my Ko-fi community. There are different membership tiers, and you can see what you get per membership tier. But I invite you to join that. I also sell digital photography of my travels and my nature-inspired, or rather my math art-inspired digital art. You can check that out in my shop link below. All right, and I'll see you in the next video that pops up here. Oh dear, did it already end? No.